Are we back? Actually. What?
Are we?
I don't know. I am. You mean mentally? I'm back. I'm back, baby. Okay, I need to silence my phone. This is getting out of hand.
What are you going to not silence?
Well,
I am Doug Friedman.
I am Kenzie Jeanette. That's what?
And
What?
this,
Is your mental breakdown.
the podcast.
Oh, that's new. We've never done that before. I just steamrolled you. I'm going to be doing that a lot today, I have a feeling.
Really?
I had a whole tumbler full of coffee.
Wow.
An entire tumbler full. Do you know, like that? See the size of my water bottle?
Uh-huh.
What is that, 32 ounces? I had maybe 30 ounces of coffee.
Wow.
That's too much. It's too much. Listeners, don't
Yeah.
do that. Don't do what
I
I
have not
did.
been on Tumblr in a long time.
Oh my God, do you remember Tumblr?
Yeah.
Wait, Doug, were you on Tumblr?
No. Do you remember Flickr?
Yeah, maybe.
Do
I
you?
was never on it.
That was one of the
That's
first
the
things
photo
we
thing,
put-
right?
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
No. Imgur. That was like a picture thing. But Tumblr. Oh, Doug. I have so many things about Tumblr. Anyway, this is not about me.
No.
I got in so much trouble with Tumblr. Oh my God.
Really?
Yeah, the origins of my non-monogamy were on Tumblr and I got in so much trouble.
Wow.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Got to be careful out there.
Yeah, be careful, kids. I don't even know if Tumblr's still a thing.
I don't know.
There's some scary things on Tumblr. Anyway,
Yeah.
yeah. We're introducing things today.
We are introducing things
'Cause
today.
we had a fun time.
We did. It's a little different today. You guys are going to
Yeah.
hear something a little different. It's not just me
Quite
and
a
Kenzie.
bit different.
It's, sort of.
Speaking of non-monogamy, what? It's funny. Well, not okay. Look, it's two of us. It's a
Yeah.
dyad here, if you will.
Sure.
We had an extra dyadic
had a double dyad?
situation. A double dyad. That's fun.
We have in the past on the podcast done roundtables.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm
Grow up.
sorry.
We have.
What do you mean grow up? This is a very adult thing to do. Okay, so we had a roundtable discussion.
We had a discussion. So the roundtables we've done in the past have always been for therapists.
Have they been round, actually?
No, I don't think we've ever been at a round table.
See,
They've always
that's
been
weird.
rectangle tables.
So we had a rectangle table.
Right. We had a rectangle table and a conversation
We did.
with a couple of people
We did.
that are not therapists.
They're not. They're way more famous than we will ever be.
That's probably true.
It's definitely true.
Yep.
Unless you finally come out with your book and just like blow away the world, which we're waiting for, Doug.
Sure. I still don't think I'll reach the levels of these two.
It's
women.
probably, yeah.
Yeah.
You might have heard of one of them, both of them.
You might
The
have heard of one
podcast.
or both of them.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
the podcast that one of them is on.
Oh, sure. So we have with us today Georgia Hardstark from My Favorite Murder podcast. She co-hosts that, co-founded the Exactly Right Media Network. She's an author of a New York Times best-selling joint memoir called Stay Sexy and Don't Get Murdered.
And that's the joint memoir with her co-host, right?
Uh-huh.
Cool.
Yep. She's done shows on the Cooking Channel
Yeah.
and Comedy Central.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Doug couldn't wait for this joke. Uh-huh. Let's hear it.
so she has a good sense of taste and humor.
Oh, yeah, Doug.
There it is.
That's good.
That's the only thing I worked on for this was just that one joke.
Just that?
Yeah.
And the rest of this is just from the dome.
Well, it's from like the notes that they
Please.
gave me to like, here's how you can talk
but
about
you
me
added
if you
in
want
that.
to.
Yeah, got it.
And Georgia, if you've heard the podcast, she's pretty outspoken about mental health, mental illness,
Yes.
her struggles, challenges, what she's been through, and very pro therapy, which is cool.
Yeah, we love that.
Right?
We did invite them for a reason.
We did. And the other woman who joins us is Maria Bamford.
Woo!
She is an actress, stand-up comedian. She's done a ton of voiceover work. She's known for these deeply personal and experimental comedy skits.
Stuffs and skits.
Yep. She talks about mental illness a lot. She's got several comedy specials. She's also a New York Times bestselling author for her memoir, Sure, I'll Join Your Cult.
Which is, gosh, isn't that funny considering one of our clients on this podcast?
Right? She was on the Netflix series Lady Dynamite.
Yep. Good
She
stuff.
has a new graphic novella that she wrote with her husband, Scott Marvel Cassidy,
It's so good.
called Hog Book and Laser Eyes, right? You
And
read it.
I read it. I read it so quickly too. It was so
Really?
cute. Yeah. It's
Yeah.
very charming. And the illustrations are really great.
Oh, yeah.
It's a
and
good one.
again, very out there and
Yeah.
transparent
Oh, yeah.
about mental health.
Oh, that's what I love about it.
Right?
Yeah. Just raw. I mean, you'll listen and you'll hear it in her. She's just so transparent.
Yeah, both
I
of them.
appreciate.
I think
They
they
both
really
are,
are real people, and they don't just put on an act to be on camera.
I mean, everyone does in a sense, right? But
Sure.
they're more real than most,
Yeah.
I'd say, than the average.
I'd say it's different if you're doing stand-up comedy, then you're
Sure.
there
Yeah.
to be funny. But Maria is a funny person.
She just naturally is funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, they both are.
We had a blast talking to them. It was
Yes.
a lot of fun.
It was so interesting. And two different types of personalities and styles, right? And it was
Oh, yeah.
really cool to get that all in the same room.
Right?
Yeah.
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 Totally.
Yeah. We had
So-
brownies and everything. It was fun.
We did have brown. Love those brownies.
They were so good.
They're like almond butter
oh my
brownies.
God. Oh my God. Stop. I'm going to
Right?
crave them
And
again.
very strong. They're strong.
They were dense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what else is dense?
What, you?
Ouch.
You handed
Ouch.
that to me.
I did. And you know what else you can hand over?
What? Oh, Doug. Oh, Doug.
I'm looking
He's
at
looking
the
at the
tree.
plant,
Yeah.
which is
It's trying to be my new thing.
okay.
Right?
It's your thing. Yeah. So don't look at me then.
You guys out there, you can listen up to our conversation. You can also find us on social media at your.mental.breakdown on most social media platforms.
You're
can-
looking at me.
Email us at info@yourmentalbreakdown.com. And we will be back next week with a different conversation, probably with just the two of us and the client,
Yeah.
because that's what we normally do.
Back to normal.
So check us out abnormally.
Yeah.
All right.
Cool. Have
Bye.
fun. Bye.
So wanted to bring you guys here.
Okay.
We brought you here today.
We brought you here. You came. That's awesome. My work is
Intervention.
done. Right? We're just talking about being transparent about mental health and mental illness as an entertainer and a public figure. You guys are in the public eye and ear. So just wanted to talk about what that's been like, and if there was maybe first a conscious decision for you guys, and if there was a moment or something where you realized, I want to talk about this.
Yeah, for me, it never crossed my mind not to talk about it. I think partly because I'm not an actress or a character. I've always been myself. And I was lucky enough to be raised in a family where it's like, if something's wrong, if you're not in therapy or not on meds when you need them, thankfully, like Southern California Jewish family, very laid back about it.
Get that.
Yep. Cheers. Exactly. So to me, it was just part of my daily life. So when I learned this amazing thing in therapy that I told my friend and it happened to be on a podcast, who cares? Or I changed my meds. Sorry, I'm being weird. But never crossed my mind not to say that.
Wow.
So I didn't even think about it when it happened, when it started.
Have you always been like that? I'm just curious. Like from day one, you're an overshare.
Yeah, like I'm on the very middle of the Gen X / millennial, but I've got that millennial blogger lean to like just get
Just
to tell
say it.
everything.
Yeah.
And like, why not?
Yeah.
I've never been a perfectionist. I never will be. Like, let's show it all. It's
Cool.
gross and fun and interesting. And that's,
Cool.
what it is.
I love it. I get it. Why you're so popular now. People need that.
Yeah. I feel like it's all that I have. That's all I have to give,
Yeah.
Like, the story of the giving tree,
Oh,
Yes.
yeah.
and it's like, I'm the stump at the end, like in terms of like, have a seat. There's always a new low, I feel like, in life, is that there's always a new low. And also whenever you talk to anyone, everyone's completely weird.
Yes.
If you talk to anybody for more than 5 minutes on a Southwest Airlines flight, you will get some real dark shit where you're like, what?
Yeah.
Especially when people deny that they have any bizarre thoughts, or that I think that is the darkest space.
Yeah.
Like, wow.
Creep. Like, what? Uh-oh.
What's going on in there? One of our friends won't touch ice cubes, but they won't tell me why.
And you know there's something there.
I know. Oh, God.
I went straight to DBT because distress tolerance, sometimes they suggest grabbing an ice cube to like calm your nervous system down. I'm like, maybe they have a history of doing DBT and they have to hold ice cubes. Oh, it could be so many things.
Yeah, it could be so many things,
this.
which is the beauty of the human brain.
Yes.
That's a great way to make yourself interesting, is to have some fucking, I can't look at a balloon, but I'm not telling you why. Immediately interesting.
Yeah.
Right.
I have to know about the ice cubes.
Right. Well,
we
let's
do
get
have
her
a
on
caller.
there.
Can you call
It's the person from the Southwest flight, actually.
Yeah. I just want to say entertainment is not at all therapy, but I want to say, oh my God, get actual care.
Yeah.
Get actual care if you can, which is sometimes impossible.
Yeah.
True.
I think sometimes I've worried at certain points, like what am I doing?
Don't we all, though?
But and every job can be like that. Like I'm sure if you're at waiting tables, if you're very good at it, somebody might say, it seems like you really need to stop being sort of codependent.
Right.
Like it can be pathologized, whatever your job is.
But then I bet you get a lot of people coming up to you, like, thanking you for talking about it so openly and with humor, which I think is like so important.
Yeah.
And that's got to be the little bits that make it.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. It's so lovely for me. But I
Right.
think what I want to maybe double down on is like, go for the actual help because you're this huge entertainer. And so I just want to say within entertainment, there is this enormous power.
Yes.
And so, I have no license. That's what I worry about, is like also saying, it's so important. Laughter is the best medicine. No, it's not. The actual best medicine is psychotropic medication.
Right.
I'm so happy to hear you say that.
Even if you have the money to throw at a therapist, sometimes it's not a good match,
Yeah.
or they're complete weirdos, or whatever.
It is definitely, I am always so pro go to a therapist. And, I don't think people understand who are new at it, that there's different types. Like, I'm going to be in therapy for the rest of my life, period. But you
And have been from a very long
and
time.
have been,
right?
and I'm happy about that.
Yeah.
But some
Yeah.
people need to go for 6 sessions to like
Right.
figure something out. But then again, when you say that, it's also assuming that people can afford it and have health insurance, which is so rare. So I do think those things, like listening to actual therapists on podcasts or reading about mental health issues, is great and important, because the access to the things that I really need are not freaking cheap,
Yeah, they're not cheap at all.
not,
Yeah. And like Esther Perel, I mean, she's struggling financially because she has so many ads on her podcast. It's like, today we'll be talking about sexual trauma.
I love her, but that's so funny.
But HelloFresh. I love the peanut curry. And
That is rough.
so much quinoa and squash.
I do love her, but that is
I
very
love her.
accurate.
Yeah, it's like some help is better than no help, but also to acknowledge that the best help is in person,
Absolutely.
with a human being. Yeah,
Who's
and
a
that
good
should
fit.
and that should be available for everyone.
What's helped you? And I'm just wondering your arc as being somebody that's in the public, if there's been something that, really did make a big difference for you in terms of, oh, wait, I really had to go do this. I really had to get this tool. I had to learn not to listen to these trolls or not to let these fans go to my head. And,
Yeah.
it's-
I don't have the going to my head problem. I'll never ever be. Someone recently was like, oh, they're sold out of this, show I want to go see, and they're like, call them, and I'm like, and tell them who you are, and I'm like,
Oh my
no
gosh.
no one knows who I am. I'm not fucking doing it. Like, it was just very. But the troll part is terrible. The like negativity, listening. Like, I've definitely had to change that completely, and not just stop reading the comments, because that's not in my
That's not
nature.
possible.
I
Yeah.
don't do that. I need to see that. And so not letting it affect me the same way has been, it's been 8.5 years of trying to figure out how to like not take it personally,
And what do you do?
Think about the positive things, like helping other people not be helping to destigmatize therapy and medication and all of those little things are the things that like you have to concentrate on instead of just like white knuckling it through.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I mean,
yeah.
there's just as much positive as there is negative.
Way
right? But we
more.
have such
There's way more
negativity bias, right?
I don't look at that.
No,
I love
of course
it,
not.
but then it's gone.
It's so much easier to focus on the negative.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I use analogy very, very heavily in therapy. It's
Yes.
one of
It's
my
his
favorite
specialty.
parts, right?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Vince comes home sometimes and he's like, he said that that baseball and something was
Right? Yeah. Oh, I love that one. Baseball. The best hitters in baseball fail 70% of the time.
wow.
That's
See,
good.
and
That's
he just
a good
pulled that out of
one.
his pocket. Like he does this every day, all day.
Okay.
That's good.
So watch this. Here's
Here
how
comes
this
another
works.
one. Yeah.
Georgia, what you were saying about the trolls, like, I can't not read those. Like I read everything, but how do I do that? Think of any restaurant you've ever gone to, go to Yelp and read all of the reviews.
Yes.
Like start reading the 1 and 2 star reviews.
I love those.
Right?
Well, see, that's why people eat them up.
Right,
It's
right.
entertaining.
It is.
Yes, people
Right.
like it. Yeah.
But you're right.
The Grand Canyon's got an 1-star.
Oh my God.
review.
Yes. There's
And if the
that
Grand Canyon.
there's that the negative reviews of national parks, the book,
Oh
and
my
oh my God.
God.
And
Oh,
it's
wow.
like not grassy enough. It's so true that it's like, and then who writes negative reviews? I won't write a positive or negative review on Yelp, but I'll read them to see if I should go to this restaurant. So why am I relying on the people who talk are the negative ones who have something
Right.
negative to
Yes.
say about it?
Right. Same
Right.
with Reddit. Like,
Right.
and it's a cesspool of just people
Yes.
complaining to each other.
Sure.
Because they want help. Or
That's
they
It's
just want
fine.
to spew. Yeah.
But I don't need to fucking see it.
No,
I don't-
of course not.
It's not for me.
I don't recommend going on Reddit if you can avoid it for any reason. It is
Well,
just,
and that's a lot of people do that because it's community.
of
right?
course, yeah. They don't want to
And
feel
what
alone.
becomes dangerous is everybody has a platform now.
Yeah.
Anybody can be on Twitter or X or Truth or whatever. Truth.
Thetruth.com. I don't know.
But everybody has a platform, has a voice, and they use it. And there's a whole community of people that will troll, that will gang up, they're ready to cancel people. People like love a bandwagon, love getting on something. And it's hard not to feel that as somebody who's not just one of the community, but who's kind of, I don't want to say at the top, but you guys are. It's a very low percentage of people that are doing what you guys do in that public way.
Well, it's hilarious to be considered to be at the top. And I wouldn't be able to handle a bigger career. Like, I think I had different opportunities to, explode. And, and I genuinely couldn't handle it mentally. And I think, and now in retrospect and currently, I try to just keep things manageable. Like I love a small business. I have a friends who have an eyeglass shop, and people always come in their shop and go, "Why don't you guys could franchise and do more of these?" And it's like, but then we wouldn't have what we already have, which is one fucking awesome shop. Like, who gives a shit? Like, franchise it, make it into 1,700, get another person doing your act worldwide. It's like, no, this is what I like about it. I am the used bookstore of comedy. I won't have what you want.
Oh my God. And you'll have like a cat there. Like,
I'll have a
what
cat.
more do you need? I totally understand that too. Like, because we like hit and got big really unexpectedly. I didn't expect my life to be like that. And it's overwhelming and scary. And then people start saying, do you want to do this next? Do you want to do that next? And you're supposed to say yes to everything. You're supposed to want to be bigger and have more. But then there is this thing of, I don't want that. It sounds horrible to like not be able to go grocery shopping.
And people who are that big, it's full time. Like it is such a huge job. Like I've watched people who are like, it's genuinely not only talent, but it's also that desire. Like you've got to have it. And and have a personality, have the extroversion. And that's not my thing.
I love naps. I love taking a nap. Don't get in my way of a nap.
I respect that, though. I think that's actually even more respectable, arguably, to know your limits and your boundaries and know what kind of life you want to live. because I feel that it's all relative, isn't it? But even just doing this little podcast, right? I was so nervous to do it. I was sweating throughout the first like few months of doing it just because I didn't want my voice recorded.
Totally.
And I'm like, I can't imagine being famous. Like this is the little tiniest little speck of, I'm not even going to say fame. It's not fame at all, but I'm just saying like having your voice out there.
Having your voice heard.
Being public, yes. It is so nerve-wracking.
Well, and telling anybody about what you do is consistently humbling. And it's like, heard you're a comedian.
Oh my God.
Tell me a joke.
Oh my God.
Where can I see you?
Yeah.
Where can I see you?
Have you met so-and-so?
Do we need to have this conversation? Let's talk about something else because I know you don't want to see me. And, it's like people say stuff, but they don't really want to do it.
And you don't want them to. You're not my people.
Yeah, it's okay. Yeah, it's okay. Let's talk about all the local restaurants. Anything else.
You're a person too.
Yeah, it's okay. Or I think it's one of those jobs, where it's like if you're a physician, people go, could you take a look at this?
Right.
Like it's whatever it is your job is.
Oh, yeah. We get it.
Yeah.
We're just talking about that.
That's also where I think for us, people don't approach us because they don't know who the hell we are. But it's not like they'd be like, oh, wow, well, I have this really deep depression about that. Yeah. They won't do that.
Oh, right. Well, actually.
But once they find out
you're... for sure happened to me.
Yeah, once they find out you're a therapist, for sure the gates are going to be open.
Once at a poker table, when someone asked me what I did, and I said I was a psychotherapist, everybody at the table looked at me and then went, oh.
No way.
Right, because I was doing well at the table, and then when they heard that, they're like, "Oh, he's like,
he's playing mind games, psychology." Yeah, some people equate psychotherapy to like being a psychic.
Yeah,
and I'm like, it couldn't be further from the truth.
That would be cool, though.
I knew you were going to say that.
Well, I mean, oh God, Doug, why do you do that? Do you guys pick up on that joke? Yeah, I know they come at you fast.
Yes, fast.
Oh, I get it. Oh, I'm there.
See, it landed. Yeah, that was me the first few months.
I knew you were going to say that
because I'm psychic.
Because he's psychic. Because he's a therapist, and we're all the same. Yeah,
it took me a second.
It takes me so long.
I know.
I only. It's hilarious how like I take everything seriously. Anything that's said,
like
I go
literally. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. No, I'm the same way. Maria, and it took a while for me to understand almost everything he says.
Yes.
Does he even understand it though? I don't know. He's just trying to throw them out there.
It just comes out.
Yeah.
And you just cut the stuff that doesn't land.
That's right. That's right. I sound like 10 out of 10 hit. It's like 2 out of 10 at best.
Mm-hmm. But you wouldn't know it if you listen to the podcast.
That's right.
Edit your own shit.
Right.
Secret.
Well, it's funny. I remember something you said to me early on when the podcast had a lot of listeners and you were like, be careful. Like you want to maintain what you've got, which is we don't have advertisers, we don't have sponsors, we don't have anything. We've got listeners that like really listen because they're people
family.
that they care about mental health, right?
Yeah.
And that's different when you start having to answer to other people. Like you guys have machines behind you and people that depend on you and people whose livelihood.
You guys don't have any sponsors on?
No, we do.
They do. We don't.
We do not, but you two.
But was that a choice where you had to decide whether to get sponsors or not? Or was that from the beginning you said, okay, we'd love to have sponsors?
I mean, I think we kind of knew that's the only way to monetize it and to give a free product. The podcast can be free if you can sit or fast forward through some ads, but
that's so real.
Yeah. But Karen and I were both very, and still are, and have been, and it's been a fight to approve every single ad, single ad.
Yeah.
And it's like, you'd be surprised at how many people don't want to like touch you or talk to you or do that because it's high maintenance somehow. But like, we're talking about therapy and we're talking about true crime and like, you don't get to use that to like promote whatever the fuck you want. Or something that we don't believe in. We will do like, alarm company, home security.
Okay.
But we actually use them and we like, I use the product that we discuss and we also approve the scripts and write the scripts. So it's not, there's no fear mongering. We won't say this, we won't say that.
Good.
But it is definitely like a fight.
If you're going to do it, that's the way to do it.
Right.
I think it's super important because there are, again, as you said, like a lot of people listening to both you guys. And you're just kind of saying, this is my experience. And you're walking your walk or you're walking your talk or you're talking your walk.
Talking the walk.
You're doing both of it. You're walking, talking, you're walk and talk.
Yeah, for sure.
And you really are. And I think that's something that both you should be really proud of. I mean, that's partly the therapist to me coming out sometimes.
Thanks, Dad.
But you are, and that's,
Proud of you.
but I think that's really hard to be authentic when you do have so many eyes on you and so many sponsors and responsibilities and money. And if you're being paid to do this show, then you have to, I mean, you do your own brand of comedy.
Yeah.
Right. But you still.
Well, and that's why I don't do any ads at all in terms of like, I don't. After I did a Target campaign many years ago.
So good.
But the problem with that was that the more I found out about Target, it's so much, it's just like Walmart. The only thing that makes it different is their incredibly progressive design team out of Portland.
That's exactly,
branding. They are union busters. They are completely sweatshop sourced from... oh my God, it's monstrous.
Oh, no.
And they do the same thing Walmart does where they go, we give so much money to the charity and community.
Right.
So
but
that
that's
makes it
because
okay.
they're making the employees work longer to do these volunteer events. It's monstrous. And the only reason I got paid well was because I'm a union member.
Right.
So, I can't do ads. I didn't, after that, which I blew up because I was also out of my mind. I've never done an ad since because I can't not shit talk stuff because I can't trust myself. I want to deep dive on everything.
Me too.
Yeah.
The legal shit. That's been hard for me as someone who's like, punk rock, fuck you. And then it's like, no, you signed a thing that said you won't talk shit on this company.
Oh, no, yeah.
It's like, then then they got me.
But I think also they don't follow up. Like Simon and Schuster, I did a book deal with them and they're like, you can't say how much you made for the book. And I'm like, I can.
Yeah.
Over a period of 5 years, I still haven't gotten paid for the last part. It was a New York Times bestseller, but it takes a shit. And book deals are very fascinating. They're so interesting because they give you a little chunk of change up front that you have to pay back. So you're kind of working for free and or having a loan. It's like a loan.
It's a credit card.
It's a credit card. Yeah. I talk to everybody about everything, especially financial stuff like open book accounting. Like I think that's really important so that like everybody who works for me knows how much I'm making on a gig and that what I'm paying them so that they can argue. Not that I'm perfect at it, but I find that really fascinating because it's so emotional. It's very emotional.
Well, and that's
Definitely.
what you're saying is, I mean, you're living transparency.
Yeah,
and
truly.
That's what you said, Georgia, about, I'm going to be punk rock and I'm going to say, that's transparency. That's saying, I just want to tell it like it is.
I want to. I really want to.
Right.
It's hard. Based on that transparency, how do you find that balance, that enigmatic balance between transparency and like privacy and boundaries and like having your own life, like not putting it all out there? Or is it like, no, fuck it, I'm going to put it all out there. Who cares?
No, there are little bits that I don't talk about. And I don't know why. Like there's definitely parts that are like, I have some shame over to work out that like, I don't want to talk about.
Okay.
You know?
You're working out the kinks before you share it.
What?
Well,
So you've got two therapists here.
well, and
No microphones.
people see what's wrong with you. Like people see you, you know, like I just go, if I think I'm keeping any secrets at all,
Oh, okay.
I think it's already out. Like, you know
want
what
to
I'm
beat them to
saying?
the punch.
Like, I can't believe that anyone thinks anybody's perfect, not just perfect, but isn't in some way monstrous, like doing something bizarre in their free time. That can't possibly be true. That people aren't having highs and lows. And my husband and I, we've just seen our new couples therapist, and we've gone to couples therapy ever since we started dating because I didn't know how to have a relationship.
I read about that in your dog book.
Yes,
that I thoroughly enjoyed, by the way.
Thank you.
It's so cute.
So look.
There it is.
Oh,
he lent it to me,
shit.
and I read it in one sitting, and I was like, this is adorable.
I love
it.
It's adorbs.
I have to look at that.
It's called Hog Book and Laser Eyes. You got it. It's beautifully
Plug it.
by Scott Marble Cassidy. It's put out by Fantagraphics. I don't know what their ties are to what, but they are
Any sweatshops?
out of Seattle. I don't think they do, but I don't know where it is made.
Oh,
so
it looks great though. But couples therapy.
Couples therapy. Oh yeah.
Couples therapy.
It's
I'm hooked. I'm
and
intrigued.
it's not. I don't know. We still don't know what we're doing. We don't know what we're doing at all.
Do we ever?
All. And I don't know if the couples therapist knows what she's doing.
Cool.
I don't know if we even like her. But it's like, okay, well, we're going.
Yeah.
And she showed up.
Okay.
And she seems to have little tools for us to do. And it seems like an exercise in both saying that we really care about how we interact with each other and we'd like it to both get better. At least it seems like that, at least that's the message I'm getting out of it. I should speak for myself, which is something you learn in class.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
And it's messy. It's a mess. My family, I think my parents, they did. My mom was bipolar, so we did have some episodes of banana pants, but my parents seemed like together, like it didn't seem unstable. It felt like they were going to stay together.
Yeah.
And I just don't have any friends who've experienced that in Los Angeles.
No.
Really?
Nobody.
Like parental separation? Or
No.
divorce?
None of my friends have stayed with somebody.
Oh, the other way.
I thought you
I
meant their
see.
parents, because like whenever I meet someone whose parents are together, I'm like, what the
What?
fuck is that like?
Right?
Yeah.
I'm like one of the only people I know whose parents are together, but they did separate at one point. So it's like, there's a caveat.
Yeah, my friends, nobody
Yeah.
seems to stay together, and it's like, and this is a very common Los Angeles thing to hear. Like, is it toxic? You've really just got to let go of all the people who are draining you of your energy. Isn't that everyone?
Yeah.
like that's
Right. At some
everybody
point.
is draining me
To a certain extent.
I'm toxic.
We're all
as you can
toxic,
tell.
yeah. But you own it and you're self-aware.
Yeah.
And isn't that kind of more evil?
Well, Doug,
we
you
do
were
it anyway.
You were mine and Vince, my husband's couples therapist.
Oh, okay.
And that was like a couple months in.
Cat's out of the bag.
Oh yeah, I'll talk about that's not that's not off the table.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Oh.
And I think
It was a while ago.
It was
It's
a
fine.
long, and we're still together. It's been 11 years. We're very, very happy.
Oh, Doug, good work.
Sure. Yeah. Both of us just were like, there's something here, but this is hard. And just relationships are hard. I don't have any.
The idea
Yeah.
of going preventatively or
Totally.
going, not just going
Yeah.
to therapy when something's wrong. It's not just for the broken and the wounded.
No.
It's for people to stay strong, right?
I had never had a relationship, whether I'd had that blissful feeling of falling in love, where it worked out. Like nothing had worked out. And
Yeah.
the one thing Scott and I had in common was that we're both very good looking. and, and both of us were like, let's do this.
Yeah.
Like we're both available. We both want to have a relationship. And that was really romantic to me,
Wow.
which I hadn't had
Totally.
that experience. And at the same time, we've both had traumatic experiences, mine mostly self-induced. Having a mood disorder, I just sort of feel like I was a grumpy kid. And then, he genuinely had genuine trauma in his family. And I just never want to feel ashamed of like not being the greatest at life. Like I'm just not good at it. And it's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what? Like, it doesn't even, I love the idea that it doesn't matter that if your parents were perfect, quote unquote, if you were raised perfectly, if it wasn't right for you and your temperament, you're not going to know how to fucking be in relationships
Right.
Yeah.
or do that kind of thing, And for me, it was like, let's go to therapy. He had never been to therapy before. He was like the Midwestern,
Pull your
bootstrappy guy.
Yep.
But the fact that he was immediately like, let's try it, and like
Nice.
came in pretty open to trying it and like open to the ideas. And having a mood, a girlfriend with a mood disorder too is like, I need you to understand me, and I'm not great at explaining it. So
Yes.
it was this kind of nice, like, it is romantic in a fucked up way.
No, it's
No,
great. But,
not
that was,
even.
but Scott, one of the most best things he said to me was if you go into the psych ward, I'll come in and shave your beard. Because his mom had high bipolar, and she, sometimes they don't let you have sharp things.
Right.
And sometimes as a lady, you grow a little beard.
Sure you do.
You sure you do. Well, that's the most
what?
romantic thing.
This is news to Doug.
Really?
Yeah. Hormones are wild.
Yes, yes.
They are.
That is romantic, though.
What would you say to somebody who's having a psych emergency? Because I often have that where sometimes at a show, or sometimes, I'll just get a call or somebody, because we'll say, oh, my friend's having a meltdown. Like what I do is I just say, hey, Google in your zip code, psychiatric emergency, and just go. I felt at a loss, like what to do.
Does that happen to you guys where because you talk about mental health so much and mental illness, and I know you, Georgia, you've even have posted in the past, like, here are my new meds, and here's what I'm taking. Like, do people then come to you directly and ask for your advice about things like that?
Yeah, they'll ask, when I post my meds, they'll say, what did you think about this one? Or how was that? And, of course, the answer is like, it's so different for everyone. You just need to try and then try again and again and again. All my advice is just find a therapist you like, and it's going to take a while.
I feel so guilty about some of my friends from, who are my age now, who because of mental health conditions and now, and the years have passed and it's much more difficult to hustle, are now unhoused, are in much more dramatic situations. And then, I've tried to get help and they're like, not that kind of help.
Well, it's like that with great power comes great responsibility thing. And I wonder for you two being these people technically in positions of power and you have mental health struggles or mental illness, right? And people maybe rely on your not expertise, as you have said, but your experience, right? And do you ever feel that it sounds like you do have that pull to help everyone else who struggles with their mental health?
Well, and that's maybe my own mania of thinking, I'm an angel and I can help, and it's like that's probably redonkulous that I am thinking I can somehow help someone.
I think you just care a lot.
Well,
because you've been there.
The reason I got into performing was a mental health issue. Like I feel oxytocin rushes through my brain every time I get on stage. It's just so relaxing. It's so delightful.
Oh, that's so interesting.
It's a sweet high. And even when it's terrible, even when I bomb, there's something about that, the feeling alive, alive. I mean, I don't like bombing.
Not doing it on purpose.
I'm not going to do your benefit because I will bomb.
You guys have taken the act on the road, literally. Like, do you get that sense too?
Yeah, and I had never really been on stage before I was in a stand-up comic. I had tried a couple storytelling shows and definitely bombed. So then to suddenly walk out to like 3,000 people who like love you is a fucking... is a fucking boost that like can't.
It's like an emotional roller coaster, though, the whiplash of it.
Yeah.
Well, and you said like, don't worry, it won't go to my head. But how did you manage that? Like, what do you do with that?
I mean, you just ride it and you just take all the like excitement that you can from it and enjoy it. I mean, I hate traveling. So touring was like a nightmare for me because I loved being on stage and meeting everyone. But traveling makes me really awful. Like just gives me the worst anxiety. So it was this kind of back and forth, like trade off of one or the other,
Right.
Yeah. Do you ever return to like a homeostasis? Like what would you say is your baseline with the whole like, okay, there's highs and lows, right? And
I mean, my baseline is just like a high wire anxiety mixed with a low level depression. So it's just like somewhere in between.
Got it. Kind of just doing this thing. Yeah.
Well, let me ask you guys this. One of my favorite questions in terms of thinking about like your success being public, in terms of your own mental health, what has been the high, the low, and the oddity?
Oh, I love the high-low oddity.
We knew this was coming.
Right.
My dad used to do this every night. He'd say, "What's your worst? What's your best? And what was your most interesting person?"
Oh my God, I love that.
Sweet.
Yeah, so I'm down.
High-low oddity,
High-low oddity.
What do you like to start on, high, low, or oddity?
I mean, you know me, I never give it a rule.
Okay.
Because that will reveal so much about you.
I know. I'm already like, we save the high for the end, right? And then the low for the, I'm trying to turn it into a narrative.
You know what's funny though, is whenever I say this to people, the high-low oddity, they almost always want to start with the high.
Yeah.
Because that's like, oh yeah, we're talking about this. But when we have an experience and we come back from it, what we usually tell people is the low.
Yes, yeah.
Right?
Okay, so we start with the low.
Let's start low.
Yeah, start low.
Jesus.
Let's get dark.
Well, because there's always like a most recent, there's always a hot new low. Do you have a low locked and loaded?
No, but I was waiting to see what you would say because then I could like piggyback off of it. Like, that's similar thing, and then I have something. But
I think, my husband and I, so we had this tour with the book, and we're, everyone was just like giving us so much love, going like, you guys are the cutest couple. And we were really having a hard time at this past week or so, like just like for whatever reason, just really disconnected and having a hard time. And yeah, I think that felt like shameful, like somehow, oh, you're supposed to always have it together. I feel like just shame of like, of like, oh, we're not doing it right. And so, and I think with coming public with this book that's very romantic and beautiful about the love in our family with our dogs, and then somehow, oh, are we lying? That kind of thing.
The dissonance or feeling incongruent.
Yeah.
When really being human is messy.
Yes, being human.
Oddly, it's almost like imposter syndrome, but it's actually
just being a human.
I feel that for sure. I guess mine would be about true crime and covering certain cases and not feeling like you honored the story and the victim, you know, like just feeling like you misstepped and people tell you, and because we're really open on the podcast, like, tell us when we fucked up, please, you know.
And they will.
They do, and they will. And but a lot of them do in constructive ways, and some obviously don't. But, you know, just like wanting to get it right every time and not getting it right, you have the potential to like hurt it's not, you know, just a story. It's actual people and their families and the victims and themselves. And, you know, having a misstep on that is like pretty devastating and makes you just want to quit completely. You're like, what am I doing? Why am I doing this? I'm sticking to ghost stories from now on. Like, this sucks. So that's definitely a low in the scheme of things.
And those missteps are pretty inevitable, right?
Absolutely.
I mean, you've had them before, right?
Yes.
Okay.
We've had many, many missteps.
Yeah.
Which is just taught us how to be humble, I guess, and how to like move on from it.
Yeah. I've had tons of people call me out on stuff because I'm, you know, I'm an idiot. I am going to say things that are, you know, uneducated. Yeah. And so the great thing, or I've found, is like anytime I've contacted somebody who said, hey, you jackass, and said, hey, I totally hear what you're saying. Could you explain to me what I've done? And, you know, usually everyone's so lovely. It's like, thank you so much for listening to what I had to say. Like, making things better.
Totally.
Like, the comments make people better rather than saying, oh, I'm being canceled. It's like, no, you're being educated.
Ooh, that's a good reframe.
And it's a chance to have a conversation that people are going to listen to rather than just on your own.
Yeah.
Because you do forget that there are people listening sometimes.
You are the embodiment of what you said earlier by saying, I'm not a perfectionist.
Yeah.
Because what you're describing is not something that drives you to then get it right and do this.
Yeah.
It's like, and you have the corrections corner,
right?
Yeah. That's great.
Right?
Nice.
But what that's about is, let's get educated on what this is, because you feel very deeply about this stuff.
Yeah.
Right? The perfectionist is just about getting it right.
Totally.
And doing it better. And you're about like, I feel this very deeply and I want to honor everybody. And like you said.
Yeah, and it's not about shutting anybody up or anything. It's about like acknowledging feelings of like, oh my gosh, you know, that sucks that you felt like I was saying, you know, and I did say that. And that was terrible.
Totally.
Yeah. You know what I wish worked so much better than it does, because people are still very angry out there most of the time, is saying I'm sorry, like an apology, like, oh yeah, I got that wrong and I've been educated and thank you and I'm sorry I did that.
Totally.
That should be the end of it.
Yeah.
For a lot of people, and it isn't.
Every time I've apologized, and I read a book about saying I'm sorry. I love reading books about human interaction. Like, I'm not very good at it, but boy, I could tell you a thing or two.
You read about it.
And the whole thing of like, this is what I hear you saying. This is what I think I've done wrong. This, I think, the solution. Do I have that right?
Right.
And
I think I have the same one. I have so many fucking self-help books. I think I have that one specifically.
Yeah.
I love.
Hard. Saying sorry is so vulnerable, and that feels gross.
It really is.
Like you're putting yourself in harm's way somehow, or like opening yourself up to criticism that's going to kill you somehow.
Going to kill you. Or
it's interesting.
And just the fact that, because usually sometimes somebody comes at you is really angry or hurt, so they're like, you're a witch or something. And it's like, oh, am I a witch?
Yeah.
Am I?
And a lot of times, I'm sorry is a preemptive defense.
Definitely.
As opposed to an actual heartfelt, like, oh, educate me and I'm sorry I got that wrong and thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
Let's all get high.
Oh my God.
The best? Do we haven't done the
The
best?
highs. That's right.
Hi.
We're going to end on the oddities so we can
Okay.
go,
Okay.
Of course.
I like,
go
of
on
course.
end.
I like oddities
Yeah.
in general. Hi. Let me think.
Hello.
The best I had recently was I was trying to do something different, which I did like a little workshop with people to do like a 1 hour of comedy thing. And so I have a whole new show where I'm doing just impersonation of my mom for the whole thing.
Oh my gosh.
And it is so fun. And I'm having, it was a risk for me. And I was just very proud of myself. And that's it. Yeah. And it made me feel close to my mom.
Yeah, mine would like the high in this whole fucking 8.5 years of high, of being very, very high, is writing a book, the memoir. Karen and I are dual memoir, because I got to tell a lot of those fucked up stories that are like, here's why I'm in therapy and talk about that. That was, I've always wanted to write a book. Like, to me, that was my life goal. And that just, the fact that I wrote I'm an author. Like, that to me is like,
Best-selling author.
yeah. And that's just so
Congratulations.
fucking rad. Thank
That's
you.
so cool.
Something like, I wouldn't be where I am without the books I've read since I was a kid. And so being on that, in that category just feels so emotionally filling and amazing.
Yeah.
And to give it the mental health slant, were you able to, I don't know if you remember this, but I used to call them pop the cork moments, like where you actually get to celebrate wins and do something that, like, take a moment to like soak it in.
It's because we don't do that, especially I think in this like industry. You signed the contract 3 years ago,
Right?
And you got paid for it already, and then it aired already, but you've seen it and you haven't seen it. It's like there's no moment of like, here it is,
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
right?
Yes,
So that was
yes.
a good thing to do.
And did you?
That's kind of what I've been doing for the past 8.5 years, is celebrating a little bit excessively.
All right, let's get strange.
Oh, I know the oddity for us is fucking people have my fucking face tattooed
There
on
it is.
them.
There it is.
Really? Yes. Yes.
Oh my God. That's so.
Wow.
Or like
does it
dumb-
look good?
Yes, most of them look
Okay.
amazing.
Okay.
Or like dumb sayings that I said, or like a dumb saying that my grandma always used to say, bigger dummies than you. And that was my favorite saying. And like, people have that tattooed. My grandma Molly gets like fucking memorialized in these, just something she said. I just, that's so weird. And I love it.
That's
That is
surreal.
so.
Yeah.
That's wonderful.
And as someone who, as a kid, wanted to get tattoos of like all the bands and all the saying, that people are doing that with dumb stuff I've said is pretty cool.
You say it's dumb stuff. but that's-
Right? I was just about
and
to
as
say that.
therapists, we do this all the time. We're like,
Is it
we'll
dumb?
say something that we think is like so profound. And it just goes right over their head.
And then we say something,
something we don't even remember saying. They come in like
Yeah.
a few weeks later and like, it changed my life when you said this. I'm like, what? I said
Well,
that?
When did I say that?
My therapist called what I just did is this, the dumb thing I said is me not being able to swallow the good milk, she calls it, and needing to turn it into bad milk to be able to absorb it. So I can be like, this thing that I said that was insightful and enlightening. No, this dumbass thing I said. And then it's okay for me to say it because I'm
Right.
belittling myself.
Yes.
Yep.
Then
Yes.
I can take that milk on.
Self-deprecation makes
Exactly.
it a little easier to swallow.
Yeah, so
I
like,
feel
why can't
that.
I just take the good milk?
I get that.
Oh,
Yep.
good milk.
I know it's gross. I've told her it's disgusting. It sounds so gross, but
But it's effective
It
because
does.
it hits.
It does.
I feel it in my bones
Yeah.
when you say that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Bad milk.
yeah.
Right?
Wow.
It's
I'm
visceral.
glad you caught that, by the way.
I can be trained. Like you don't go to 20 years of therapy without learning some
Right?
shit.
That's really cool. Okay, that makes me want to go to my therapist again because I haven't seen him in a little bit.
Light some sage in your brain.
Maria's oddity.
Maria's oddity. We're pins and needles.
Yes, I don't feel like I have one. I wasn't sure what the example of it because I don't think I've had any fans.
Well, the tattoo of your
Yeah. So
and people like showing you at shows. and-
What about having a TV show like that's got to be.
well,
That's not odd though.
that's
seeing yourself on TV.
I was gonna say you kind of get desensitized to the
yeah.
oddities in this world,
Oddity.
right? Like you're so used to it.
I love it. I mean, this is something more of a love thing. I like that my crowds are small. And that they're, comedy clubs are notorious for being like, everybody having a good time. And I'm not a good time. I'm a quiet. I'm a Wednesday night where you mindfully came in, or morning. I do 8 a.m. shows.
I love it.
That's incredible.
Because I just don't want to stay up all night to be disappointed. My audiences are lovely, that they're lovely. Everyone's on meds. Nobody wants to drink. So there's not a lot of high bills, like no high rollers, but people tip well. And so I'm proud of that.
Beautiful.
Nice people.
Can I ask a very vague, broad, loaded question?
Sure.
I'm very interested in what you two define as mental health. Like, what does it mean to you?
That's really actually hard because you've been saying mental illness a couple times in here.
Yeah.
And like, I kind of,
Yeah.
I don't think
I make a distinction between
yes.
mental illness and mental health.
Right.
Everybody has mental health, but not everybody
Like
has a
physical
mental
health.
illness.
Yeah.
Like everybody has a car, but not everybody has a car that
Problem.
has a,
Yeah.
an engine problem.
Right.
Yeah.
because I don't think like I think I'm pretty fucking normal. Like I think depression and anxiety are a symptom of today
Totally.
and also regular
Tomorrow and yesterday.
Yeah, exactly. Especially yesterday. Upbringing. Like it's not when you like hear my story, it's not confounding that I'm the way I am. It's not. I think Kim said to me, my old therapist said to me once, like, I was telling her about going to rehab and, what a loser I was at 13. And she's like, you don't do meth at 13 because everything's fine at home. Like, it's not like I was just a bad kid. It's like shit was bad. So
Yeah.
it's kind of that thing of like, I don't think I'm mentally ill. I think I'm just reacting to stimulus.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel you though. I felt that like there's a visceral reaction to the term mental illness. It's
Yeah.
like, really? Illness?
But maybe I should embrace it because it'll make it more normal, right?
Well, that's the question, right?
Yeah, because I feel like sometimes things that don't help might, like, if I drink alcohol or eat a hot fudge sundae for breakfast like I did this morning, like those things aren't going to assist me in my general mental health.
Yeah.
Also, those are odd choices being somebody who has had a mental illness. Like, so I guess I don't know what the question is anymore.
Yeah.
Let me go with an analogy because that's my
Yeah,
thing,
of course.
right?
Star Wars? Are we going to Star Wars?
No, but that's it.
But he could.
The Yoda. Right?
Oh, I know. I have one of those at home.
So think of like going to the gym, right? Everybody has physical health, right?
Yes.
And we can talk about, if you drink a lot of water or you eat your kale, like these are good things for your health. But some people have a torn oblique or they have a missing limb.
Yeah.
And that might be something that's a physical impairment, or whatever the PC correct term is. So they can't just go to the gym and do everything that everybody else can the same way. They have to do it a little differently. And that might be a physical illness, if we're saying mental illness, right? Yeah. So, or even if you have like a high fever or COVID or something like that, you can't function the way other people can function in that moment.
And sometimes it is circumstantial, right?
Yeah.
Like, an environmental reason. Yeah.
And I think, everybody's so different. Like I've been diagnosed with bipolar too. So I have that. And I guess that means for me, part of what that means is like, accepting that I can't work more than an 8-hour day. Like I will start losing my marbles if I don't have 12 hours of sleep. And, I wish that were different. Boy, do I wish I had Tom Cruise level of stunt ability. 'Cause it seems like it really helps your self-esteem. And I'm going to need a ramp, a metaphorical ramp to get to participate in some things. And everybody's accepting about disability until they're faced with it.
Right. And they have to
accommodate
compromise.
you.
Yeah.
Then they're like, oh shit, you can't just walk up the stairs.
Right. And that to me, that's exactly it. And it's not saying it in any derogatory way or singling people out. But in a sense, it is in that some people aren't able to do some things. Yeah. And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that.
There's nothing wrong with it. But there is still shame in our side. Like I have a couple of friends who have wheelchairs who have been invited to perform at places that do not have wheelchair access. Wow. It's just stuff like that where you go, we're not really welcoming to people of all different abilities. You just have to get someone, as my friend Jackie says, who isn't horrified by your initial appearance.
Oh, so that they can
It's
see
just
the
that
rest of it.
They can get horrified later. when they see the second
Reel them in,
impression.
reel them in.
Deep
And then,
down.
I guess that kind of morphed into a question of like, where's the line between normalizing mental illness, I suppose, right? And kind of romanticizing it as people do, or like self-diagnosing is becoming more popular, right? And like suddenly everything's trauma.
playing it
So if
up,
everything's
yeah.
trauma, is anything trauma? Like,
Right.
you know what I mean? So I guess there's a fine line there, but it's hotly debated right now. I don't think we're going to have the answers to it.
Yeah, and I think you can decide for yourself. I mean, I think
Sure.
it's like anything. Like, I know that addiction recovery or whatever, that's been a thing where they go, you got to be sober, or you gotta be, or not sober, or you got to be going to a 12-step program, or you're not doing it at all. And it's like, well, what if there's a huge gray area that everybody can get support in? And that's up to the individual. Like, oh, I have ADHD. Well, what does that mean to you? What do you need?
Right.
Yep. That's what we try to do probably as therapists, right?
yeah.
Like it is up to the individual. What does it
Yeah.
mean to you? Yeah.
And like, how much is it affecting your life?
Yes.
And like,
Yes.
to what extent are you suffering? To what extent?
And everybody's a pain in the ass. Everyone's a huge, irritating pain in the ass, especially the people who don't have anything wrong with them, quote unquote. Then they're just like constantly giving you a list of all the shit they're getting done.
Infuriating.
Not a fan.
No,
Not a fan.
I need a nap.
Well, let me ask you this to kind of wrap. Thinking about your platforms and what you do and how you do it and how you talk pretty openly about things, is there a takeaway? Anything that like you really wish people would take to heart and take in and go, wow, if I can just impact people in this way, using my platform, I've done it. I feel good.
I mean, I know that whenever people say to me, like, I struggled so much and then you made taking medication okay, and now I'm able to like deal with like just that everyone needs to help to some extent, and it's okay. It's not the stigmatization around needing help in any way is just, especially in mental health for me, is like just so ugly and insidious, and like just a great way to keep people down and small. And you're not broken because you need help. Of course you do. Everyone does.
I love that.
Yeah.
Get the accommodations and the help that you need.
Yeah. Just try to.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
I like that.
Yeah, that's a good one. Try. Or do or not do. Do not do. I don't know. Yeah, just it's okay to. It's okay to. You're doing great, even if you're not doing great.
Yeah, you're surviving.
You're doing
if you're listening
great.
to this.
Fall into a heap and embrace yourself. Yeah, you're doing so great.
And don't forget to pop the bottles, right?
Pop the cork.
Pop a cork.
Pop the
Pop a
cork.
cork.
Even
Oh my
the
God.
small things.
Yes.
Yes.
If you made your
especially.
bed. I didn't make my bed today.
And
I
that's
bet you did
okay.
something else that was
I
great.
did.
Yeah, you
I
got
came
here.
here and I ate a brownie.
Yeah. It's the small things.
It was a small brownie. That's right.
It was, but it was big flavor. So yummy.
Was it? Thank you guys so much for coming out here and for talking so openly with us.
Yay.
Hey,
We did it.
thank you.
Thank
And
you.
we're out.
Out. Yay!
Yay,
What
we
an
did it.
abrupt yay! But like, yeah, cool. That was fun.
I did like the conversation. I liked
Yeah.
the flow.
Yeah.
And there were certain things that I heard in the moment that I probably didn't jump on. Mostly because the therapist in me was like, ooh, let's look at what this means.
Right.
But I really like when Georgia was talking about, well, who am I? I'm not anybody. Like, I'm not going to call to, like, there was something where she was like, oh, well, just, if you want tickets, tell them who they are. They'll get you tickets. They'll put you on the list. And they'll do that.
Oh,
And she's
yeah.
like, no, what are you talking about? No, ew.
Yeah. Even with her, stardom, whatever you want to call it, celebrity status, she doesn't even feel like she's made it, right? Like there's never
Right.
a moment where you just make it and you're like, okay, I'm so successful. There's always more. Yeah.
And
it's kind of uncomfortable.
Yeah. And it's funny because Maria, I know from my neighborhood. We live in the same neighborhood. Our
Oh,
dogs
yeah.
know each other.
Yeah.
Right. I know her husband. Like we kind of like chat.
Yeah.
I didn't know who she was when we first met.
Oh my gosh.
And I'm the one, with her husband cracking jokes, telling puns and doing all that. And then somebody's like, You know that's Maria Bamford, the comic, right?
Oh, what happened?
Oh.
Did things change when you found out who she was?
Totally.
Really?
Well, once I got her autograph and she signed my T-shirt.
When you got a tattoo of it on your arm?
That's right.
Yeah.
No, it pretty much changed nothing.
Okay.
I mean,
You're so cool.
I'm not.
You're
I'm
just so cool, Doug. You're just on her level already.
I wouldn't say that. I think that I'm just me. I've learned for a long time to just be me, which is kind of hard to do. But once you get there, then it's just easy because you don't really have to work at it so much.
You tell your clients that too, which I really like. I've certainly adopted that mindset too. Like, as long as you know who you are and you're just yourself, then you don't really have to worry so much.
Yeah.
Like, you can just take yourself anywhere.
Yeah. That's partly why I was drawn to these two women in particular.
Yes.
Because that's a lot of who and how they are.
Totally.
It's just who and how they are.
Yeah.
And they put that out there. Although I could hear Georgia kind of struggling with, well, I'd like to do that more, but I can't.
Yeah.
And I'd like to. And
we all feel that way sometimes.
I guess. I mean, that's partly why we don't have sponsors. We don't answer to anybody.
Right.
We can say whatever we want on here.
Yeah, we're lucky in that way. Shit.
We can disappear for 4 months.
We
and
can.
leave you guys totally hanging.
Yeah,
Sorry.
we can take a summer break because we're not losing any money.
Well, yeah.
Well,
We
yeah.
are, but we do it for the love of the game.
we do. The love of the game. The game. The game?
I don't know what the game is.
I don't know what the game is either.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean,
Interesting.
and we still conversed for a little while after
We did.
that, but that's
why
when
did we cut it right there?
I don't know, because I mean, you need a point at which you stop recording.
Yeah, I guess
Right?
it could have just gone on forever, really.
Right. If you think about it, what we do for a living,
Yes.
therapy sessions,
They kind of just,
right. The whole doorknob revelation, doorknob confessions.
Yeah.
It's like right as you're leaving, like you drop something and then you leave. Like,
right.
what if the session kept going for another 15 minutes?
Ooh.
Right?
I think about that all the time. I feel like sometimes you just get to the good stuff right at the end.
Right. It's sort of like right when we ended, then we had like a good 15 minutes of like, oh, let's just chat. Like, cool. Now we're not recording.
That's what happens.
Cool.
And our best material came out and y'all missed it. Just kidding. Just kidding.
But you get the outtakes.
Oh, are we going to have a blooper reel?
No.
No.
We are, this is the blooper reel,
That's true.
Right?
We're pretty real. We're pretty raw.
right?
Real. Get it?
Real.
Blooper reel. We are blooper reel.
Oh, that's, hey, look at you.
Hey, thank you. Look at
Well
me being
done.
punny.
I like it.
Thank you.
I like it.
It's the coffee.
On that note, let's go out on a high note.
Okay.
All right. Oh my God. And on that high note, we will catch you guys next week.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.